Lesson 14 in A Course in Miracles. God did not create a meaningless world. The idea for today is, of course, the reason why a meaningless world is impossible. What God did not create does not exist. And everything that does exist exists as He created it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your own making, and it does not exist. The exercises for today are to be practiced with eyes closed throughout. The mind-searching period should be short, a minute at most. Do not have more than 3 practice periods with today's idea unless you find them comfortable. If you do, it will be because you really understand what they are for. The idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts that you have written on the world and see the Word of God in their place. The early steps in this exchange, which can truly be called salvation, can be quite difficult and even quite painful. Some of them will lead you directly into fear. You will not be left there. You will go far beyond it. Our direction is toward perfect safety and perfect peace. With eyes closed, think of the horrors in this world that cross your mind. Name each one as it occurs to you, and then deny its reality. God did not create it, and so it is not real. Say, for example, God did not create that war, and so it is not real. God did not create that airplane crash, and so it is not real. God did not create that disaster, and so it is not real. Suitable subjects for the application of today's idea also include anything you are afraid might happen to you or to anyone about whom you are concerned. In each case, name the disaster quite specifically. Do not use general terms. For example, do not say, God did not create illness, but God did not create cancer or heart attacks or whatever may arouse fear in you. This is your personal repertoire of horrors at which you are looking. These things are part of the world you see. Some of them are shared illusions, and others are part of your personal hell. It does not matter. What God did not create can only be in your own mind apart from His. Therefore, it has no meaning. In recognition of this fact, conclude the practice periods by repeating today's idea. God did not create a meaningless world. The idea for today can, of course, be applied to anything that disturbs you during the day, aside from the practice periods. Be very specific in applying it. Say, God did not create a meaningless world. He did not create. Specify the situation which is disturbing you. And so, it is not real.
God did not create a meaningless world.
And now for the reflection on Lesson 14. It's almost as if this is where Jesus really starts to mean business. All along, he's been describing for us what isn't real, all of the thoughts that we have of the world, everything that we seem to have created, everything being completely meaningless. And yet here in this lesson, he begins to describe for us the real world, what has true meaning, because everything that is created by God is meaningful, and nothing that I create aside from God has any meaning at all. In fact, this first paragraph is almost like a bomb going off. He says, the idea for today is, of course, the reason why a meaningless world is impossible. What God did not create does not exist, and everything that does exist exists as he created it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your own making and does not exist. It's almost as if we've come to a critical point in the lessons. You're strong enough now to see this and to accept it. You're strong enough and wise enough to know that everything you see is of your making. And if anything is of your making alone, it does not exist. And yet what you create as an extension of the love and the loveliness of God not only exists, but is part of the real world. It's as if we finally come home. This is the lesson where it all begins to make sense.